Hello and welcome to Meet the Members. I am today talking with Emma Guy from the Central Gazette, based in Leicestershire. And it's just a chance to get to know different members, what they're doing, what audiences they serve, how they set up, and all that kind of good stuff. And most importantly, how can we help each other? So, without any further ado, Emma Guy, how about you tell us a little bit about who the Central Gazette are and what kind of stuff you do?
Yeah, sure. So the Great Central Gazette is a new cooperative newspaper launching in Leicester next month. So we actually launch on the 24th of March. It's been a year in the making. Two of us came together this time last year with an idea, basically sat in a coffee shop. And a year on, we're organising a launch event for the launch of Leicester's first cooperative newspaper. So essentially behind that, you would think that there would be a massive team or a newsroom full of people, which definitely is not the case. There's three of us who co-founded the Great Central Gazette. So we have full-time jobs and we do this on a voluntary basis. And we're also a membership run like cooperative. So we'll be sort of going out into communities and recruiting volunteers and recruiting freelancers and writers and upskilling people in the local community.
Brilliant. Well, trust me, no one in the IMA is going to think there's supposed to be a massive newsroom. In fact, probably no one in journalism will expect there to be one. I was just talking to the NUJ the other day, and generally, news media, journalism is not in a good state. So it's always great to see independent media coming along, growing, and doing it in a sustainable way, in a way that I don't think 10 years ago people would have been trying to do. You know, you built a membership base, you know, you have a plan and a sustainable model to aim for and work towards. And I'm guessing you all know a little bit about news journalism. So what kinds of stuff are you going to be covering in Leicestershire?
It's a really good question. So we kind of were looking at like existing media in Leicester and also independent networks in Leicester as well. There are some really great independent media outlets in Leicester and Leicestershire. And one of the things that we've been looking to do actually is kind of build like a hyper local network with these different other outlets, just to kind of build on that sense of community really. And it's sort of a means that we hope will set the basis for kind of sharing resources with one another in the future. But based on like the stuff that we're going to be putting out, I mean, we will put out news and we will be, doing breaking news and a lot of ground reporting. But what we'll also be doing is we'll have a massive focus on longer form content, and that will be in the kind of form of longer set investigations as well as features and opinion pieces as well.
Brilliant. Okay. So is your audience confined to Leicester and Leicestershire? Is that your main kind of audience? Is it sort of geographically bounded? And are there any specific communities you're looking to serve as well?
It's really interesting because it's a conversation we've had quite a lot recently.
Right.
We recently ran a crowdfunder, and we were quite overwhelmed with the support that we had locally. But we were quite surprised to find that some people were donating and showing their support who didn't live in Leicester or Leicestershire. So it's quite interesting that people who have once lived here or whose sons or daughters live here also have an interest in what's going on. We perhaps should have foreseen that, but it was a nice surprise. So I think our audience is primarily people, you know, living in Leicester or Leicestershire, but it's also people that have connections with the city and the area who want to know about what's happening. And still kind of want to keep up to date with what's going on.
Cool, brilliant. So having gone on this journey already and getting ready to launch, is there any like advice or support you feel like you could give to other indie media?
I think there's a lot. There's a whole list that I'm sure I can write down, and I'm happy to share with everyone. Should they want it. I think the main thing is really take your time. This has been a year in the making, and we've had to do it that way to make it sustainable, really. And I think that there is, when you start a new project, there is kind of that hunger to get it out and, to hear what people think of it. But I think really get together with a good team of like-minded people and build a sustainable framework to build upon. I think that would be my main key
Mhm.
piece of advice to anyone.
Brilliant. Okay, that's amazing. And seeing as you're joining the IMA, what kinds of advice or support would you like from other independent media?
Again, there's probably a whole list that
Mhm.
I would ask for, because this is a learning process, right?
Mhm.
So and it will continue to be one. I don't think anyone working in the sector or starting a new cooperative newspaper will get a year into it and think that they know everything, and if they do, I don't know, I'd love to meet them.
Mhm.
But I think there's a lot. I think one of the key things is sort of having that sense of community. And I think actually, rather than specific questions and like advice that we could get, I think it's just sort of a basic level of support, with again like-minded people that you can turn to should you have kind of an urgent question, or advice about a crowdfunder, or advice about how to run campaigns or like local events in your community. I think the main thing that I'm really looking forward to is actually just having that kind of network and support to tap into.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm really glad you said that, and hopefully we're seeing more and more members utilize, really just WhatsApp groups, but a chance to chuck out questions, share bits and bobs, have occasionally debates in the chat group, because we've got quite a community of different groups, so you can join lots of different WhatsApp groups within the IMA community, so you can have chit chat and discuss things. But yeah, I think that's the key thing, to remember that we're part of a sector now. We can work together in ways that don't have to be super formal, where we're sharing loads of workload or anything like that, but that we can, first and foremost, we can as a body sort of advocate for ourselves and try and get some changes in terms of support with social media, with government legislation, other things like that, and build resources and training, but mostly just have a chat and not feel alone, because as you say, it's 2 or 3 people. You're probably one of the bigger bigger newsrooms, you'd be surprised to find out. So with that all said, thank you so much for meeting us. There'll be links in the bio to your stuff. I'm going to include your link tree, and we'll look forward to the launch and let everyone know when it's coming up. So thank you very much for joining us, Emma Guy, and everyone check out the Central Gazette as soon as possible. Cheers, and we'll see you soon.